gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Sports with Sunshine. Today I'm joined by some of my Sports Lounge Media co-hosts. I'm excited, man. This one's going to be a lot of fun. First of all, thank you to the Sports Lounge for powering Sports with Sunshine and making it exactly what it is, and that's the best sports talk show on the air. I want to say a quick shout out to the Mogul brand as well as the Diamond Collection. Both are sponsors of the Sports Lounge and continue to promote it as we continue down our path. Guys, I'm followed today by the chosen one and my man down south, Philly. How you guys feeling, man? Today we're going to talk a little bit of defense and offense coming into the NFL season.
Yeah, super excited, man. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I'm excited, man. There's a lot going on. You know, this one kind of inspired me watching NFL.com. I'm excited to get into it. A lot of new faces to a lot of these teams. So, guys, when we talk about these teams, these are the 2025 rosters that are going to be coming in. We're not talking about last year. We're going off of what happened last year, but we're talking about all of these new assembled rosters and what they can look like heading into the NFL season. So, gentlemen, we ready to get into it?
Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Amazing. We'll start on the defensive side of the ball because obviously that's kind of where we thrive as Philly fans. Guys, Sports with Sunshine's top 5 NFL defenses coming into the 2025 season. First off, the Baltimore Ravens. I think that the Baltimore Ravens, outside of throwing the football, they were the best run defense in football. They were very good in points allowed. It was that pass defense in the very, very first weeks that was kind of, alarming. They ended up finishing at 27th overall in passing yards allowed, which is not great. But towards the end of the season, after week 10, they kind of turned that around, right? They got a lot better once they moved Humphries down back to his natural spot and kind of, moved Nate Wiggins over to that other edge. And they looked great from week 10 all the way into the playoffs. They were performing at a top 5 clip. And I think with the addition of Malachi Starks and now Jair Alexander, we've obviously already talked about Jair Alexander and the fact that he doesn't necessarily make the Baltimore Ravens an immediate super team per se, but I do think he makes the defense better in an area where they needed to be better. Guys, how do we feel about the Baltimore Ravens at 1?
It's hard to argue against it.
Agreed.
Yeah, so my thought process is by adding Jair Alexander, obviously you're going to have opportunities to create new packages. And so with that being said, that just makes that defense a little bit more stronger, a little bit more dynamic. It definitely puts them into a new category for that defense. And it puts it puts less pressure on Lamar Jackson. And I think that we all can agree that's why we say this year is it's a must, right? You got to make it now that you have a defense that's going to keep you in ball games, and then you be able to do your own thing, and there's less pressure. Anytime, guys, that there's a defense that can keep you in games, such as like the Giants, for instance. If we bring up the Giants, they're going to be able to keep Russ in games. Now think of a 10X team like the Ravens be able to do that for Lamar Jackson. There's no excuse for Lamar Jackson at this particular point by having that kind of defense in that squad. And, having Hamilton out there, Humphries, adding Malachi Starks, Mike Green. The list goes on, Nate Wiggins. And then the defensive line. I think the defensive line is the only place I feel that there could be a small, very, very slim and small hole. But everywhere else is elite. Everywhere else, from the second tier to the third secondary. It's the only thing. Yeah, it's elite. You can't argue that one.
100%. And you're looking at a team that a year ago was the best run defense in football. I know they finished near the bottom of the pack in terms of pass defense, but when you look at their total defense, they didn't really let teams go crazy in yards. They were top 10 in yards allowed. Okay, 100%. So you're only adding a guy, an all-pro, and Jair Alexander that's going to make that secondary better. There is absolutely no reason with the talent assembled on this roster that the Baltimore Ravens shouldn't be the number 1 defense. Guys, they're star-studded everywhere. They have a future all-pro defensive lineman. I can never remember the kid's name. It's super hard to pronounce. But you have one, right? Just like we have Jalen Carter, they have that kid. The linebacking core, you have arguably one of the best linebackers in Roquan Smith leading that linebacking core. And guys, with Jair Alexander, I think it makes him significantly better. And DP, I'll let you touch on the Ravens before we move on to the next team.
Man, so isn't this just part of Baltimore's brand? Like, since I can remember from the early 2000s, that's been their staple. defense first, hard-nosed defense. And every year since then, they may not have been a top 5 team, but they've been teetering around that top 10 for the better part of almost 30 years. It's no different this year. I think when they drafted Lamar, he kind of helped turn the tide a little bit, and they became more offensive focused. But defense was always there with Harbaugh. So
True.
again, nothing new this year. They retooled. If anything, it's hard to find a hole on their defense this year. And one thing that we never really talk about is the impact that defense has on the offense. Yes, they give you more chances, but more importantly, they keep points off the board. And with that combination of what they got going on the offensive side of the ball, which we'll talk about later, it's hard to not put them in that number 1 spot.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. They're a star-studded team. They've earned the right to be one of the better defenses in the NFL if they can get that secondary cleaned up. That moves us to number 2. The Houston Texans showed a lot of flashes, specifically in the playoffs for me, that they had all the makings of being a top 5 defense. They were very good at points allowed as well as yards allowed. I think they were extremely good at getting after the quarterback. They had a future superstar in Will Anderson. If they can stay healthy on that side, also Derek Stingley, not to mention Derek Stingley, whose name has been thrown around in top 5 categories as it comes to cornerback, excuse me. You add CJ Gardner-Johnson, still a sore spot for some of us Eagles fans because I think he adds a lot of grit and a lot of toughness to a Houston Texans defense that was already very, very tough underneath DeMeco Ryans. Linebacker core is very solid. Guys, this Houston Texans team, if it can stay healthy on the offensive side of the football and take that next step, I think this defense kept them in games a year ago, right? You look at the playoff games against Kansas City. They played it well enough to win that football game. If the offense would have picked up their end of the bargain in that game, I think they give Kansas City a run for their money. Like I said, this Houston Texans team, man, it looks like it's going to be very good coming into next season.
Yeah, I mean, how can we? That's another one of those top defenses. I am in love with DeMeco Ryans' defense. Now, when he became available,
good thing you said defense. I was like, where is he going with this?
Defense. when he left the 49ers, selfishly, of course, I wanted him to come to Philly, which was unrealistic because I know he wanted a head coaching job, and he was going to get that anyway. But he just has one of those. He had him playing at a high level in San Francisco. This front seven, man, the front seven is nasty,
dangerous
with the Texans, and when you have players like Stingley on the back end, it makes for, a championship defense. Now we already can kind of pencil them in for the AFC South, but it's kind of like they can compete for that 3 or 4 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, this defense, piggybacking what Sunshine said, this defense was nasty last year. I mean, just add a CJ Gardner-Johnson at safety, and this just makes it even more crazy. Like it literally, I think, shifts the momentum of the whole entire culture of what their defense is going to look like, and it's going to be a smash mouth defense. He did that for us. He did that everywhere he went, and so bringing that mentality to that defense just makes that defense more scarier. It is now up to the offense to put points on the board. But I think this defense is it's a slept-on defense, and I think a lot of people are going to overlook them and forget that they got CJ Gardner-Johnson, but they will remember by week 2 or 3.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about a team, right, that a year ago, you look at what Philly did in terms of turning the football over. That's how we won a lot of these games, guys. We forced turnovers. We made people cough the ball up. In the NFC Championship, it was particularly noticeable. Literally the first play of the wild card game against the Green Bay Packers, a fumble recovery that completely shifted that momentum. The Houston Texans a year ago were a top 5 defense in taking the football away, and they've only gotten better. CJ Gardner-Johnson only makes them better in that regard. In terms of total pass, total rush defense, those numbers can be skewed a little bit, but they were 6th and 8th respectively in those 2 categories, and I believe they're only going to get better. That's why I had them at 2. Brings me to my third point, the Denver Broncos. Guys, if you've been watching Sports with Sunshine on TikTok or on YouTube, you know how highly I think of this Denver Broncos team coming into 2025. A year ago, they led the NFL in sacks. They were extremely good, in terms of their ability to take away the football as well. I believe they were a top 10 team, top 10 team in taking the football away, which is something that you need. Now, could they have been better in pass defense, run defense? Absolutely. Those are some areas where they were lacking. But really, where I want to see, where I see an improvement from this Denver defense was points allowed. They were very, very good in not allowing other football teams to score the football. I think they got significantly better in the back end, just like Baltimore. You got John Barron matched up with Patrick Surtain. I think they teach each other a lot of things. That linebacker core is very underslept on. And the defensive front seven a year ago was the best at getting after the quarterback in the National Football League.
Yeah, with Denver, man, I don't know, man. They had a extremely successful season last year. That being said, I just don't know if the focal point of their team is going to be defense this year. I'm not saying that they're going to be horrible, and I'm not going to say that they're going to be elite like on the levels of the two that we just talked about. But I think they're middle of the pack this year only because just time, film. They're going to be exposed a lot in there. This is going to be probably the biggest year for Denver because they're going to have to go up against, this AFC West. That's going to be it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be retooled, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's going to be, this is a telltale. I think this is the best way of me putting it. This is going to be a telltale season of who the Denver Broncos really are. It's going to be this season. I think you're going to see what their defense is going to look like, and you're going to see what their offense is really going to look like for years to come. And I think this is that sticky one that I'm just like kind of like, we'll see type deal because, I mean, you're playing against the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Raiders. And then all the rest of the teams that we know that they're going to have to play against, including us, right? So it's one of those things, man. This is a telltale season. Yeah, it's a big year for Denver. That we're going to see what we get. But man, top 5, I don't know.
I think that it's really just their ability to get after the quarterback a year ago was incredible. I think they got better along that front seven. The secondary scares me. Top 20 in defense and having people throw all over you. And you play, like you said, you play in a division where you have to play against Patrick Mahomes twice. Now you have to play against Justin Herbert twice. And God knows the world loves to throw Justin Herbert in top 5 lists. So he's a guy that can sling. And I mean, all joking aside, he is a guy that can push the football down the field, right? Yeah. Especially during the regular season. You add Geno Smith over there in Vegas with his old guy, Pete Carroll. Yeah. He did a very good job in Seattle at pushing the football down the field. So this Denver secondary is going to be tested.
With a Brock Bowers, with a Ashton Jeanty, with the other components. I mean, it's definitely going to be tested. And I will say, based on last year, if this is based on last year, absolutely top 5. Going into next year, that's where I get a little like, we'll see.
Right. DP?
I'm actually very high on the Broncos. I definitely, they best defense overall a year ago. Like you said, the daggone pass rush is elite. I can't think of his name, but I feel like he was number 15 from last year.
Yeah, they were top 10 in total defense.
Top 10. So that pass rush is ferocious. Of course, I wanted Pat. Who didn't want Pat Surtain when there was rumors going around that he was available, right? Unrealistic as it may have been, but this is just one of those teams that, like y'all said, they are in a competitive division. I'm not really as high on the Raiders as some people are. So I guess I can kind of flop with how people feel about the Raiders. I may feel that way about the Broncos.
I'm sticking by what I said. The Broncos are going to win the AFC West. I'm sticking on that.
Yeah. They're winning the AFC West. I'm not, by all means, I'm not saying that the Raiders are like going to run away with this thing. I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to run away with this thing, which I think they're going to finish 3rd in their division. I don't think that the Chargers are going to put up a fight, but second year and the way that, the Harbaughs move, I just don't see the unless unless everything falls apart with the Broncos, they answered every question that was they answered every question that they had on the offseason from free agency to draft to every compartment you could think of. Now it's
Right.
just up to them to perform. Unless everybody gets, I hate to say, some key components get injured. I can't see this team not winning division. I'm really high on the Broncos as a team, but as it's just what
He
I'm.
said, I got to see it happen first. I got to
Yeah,
see. He said, I need to see with my eyes.
Yeah, I got to see the first couple games. But the thing I will like to mention on here is the fact that it's not the fact that, because we get so stuck in the mentality of how good an offensive defense is and stuff like that. But always remember, like, when they play division, right? When they play against teams that play against them the first time and then the second time, like, there's extra film to expose that team,
100%.
right? Like, and everybody will agree your division is the hardest teams that you have to play, regardless who you play in the rest of the season, because number one, you play them twice, and number two, you're so familiar because you play every year.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that Pete Carroll's a hell of a coach. The way that they could chuck the Raiders, they're gonna have to play them twice. Yeah, they'll beat them probably twice, but there's going to be some exposure there. When you play the Chiefs, Andy and Spagnuolo, exposure there, right? Harbaugh, exposure there. These are elite coaches. We're not talking about we're not talking about coaches that never been in the league or never. So there's going to be some things that other teams are going to be able to see against Denver, which I think that's what's going to carry them. Now, can they fight through that? Can they adjust? Can they make adjustments throughout the season? And then what are they going to look like when they hit playoffs, right? We've seen what they look like when they hit playoffs. With all those stats that you brought up, it made no difference for them last year.
Yeah,
right?
They ran into the buzzsaw that was the Buffalo Bills there for a little bit.
And then it all went away. So that's when I'm talking about we'll see. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, they answered every question. Let's see if they can put it all together.
Right.
Let's see if they can adjust in a heavy AFC West division, and let's see what they do against a Philadelphia Eagle team that just won the Super Bowl. Let's not forget that they just won the Super Bowl. People want to already forget that we won the Super Bowl, but I wanted to mention.
That's what I heard.
Listen, we've already put 2024 behind us. We are currently the reigning world champions. They can't take that away from us. But I think when it comes to this Denver team, you look at that playoff game, it really shined through their weakness in the secondary. Josh Allen abused them through the air. They have to get better in the secondary if they want to be a top 5 defense in this league.
1,000%, brother.
Speaking of the world champions, I have them at 4. I think we drop from 1 to 4 this coming season. It's hard to go back. It's hard to go first back to back. Only reason I say that. Do I think that Fangio can do it? Absolutely. We did lose pieces, right? Milton Williams goes to New England. You got Darius Slay in Pittsburgh, CJ in Houston, and Josh Sweat in Arizona. So you lose 4 big pieces, and then I consider Isaiah Rodgers a big loss because of what he did for us coming off the bench. I think he was a pretty significant loss in the secondary. He goes to Minnesota, and now you have to find guys to replace those. Cooper DeJean, from everything we've heard from camp, has been absolutely killing it, playing safety, slot, boundary. You name it. He's been playing it. I have high expectations for Quinyon Mitchell, as well as that front 4 coming into this one. Jalix Hunt is another guy that I'm expecting huge things from, but probably no one other than Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis has to have a big year. He's got to step into the shoes of becoming a truly dominant run defender while expanding his ability to rush the passer. I think that a year ago, the Philadelphia Eagles were incredible in the back end, right? Very, very good. And I've had people tell me, that's because you guys were so good at getting after the quarterback. We weren't even a top 10 team at sacking the quarterback. It was because our secondary ran a great system is why we were so good in the back end. It's because Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell both had absolutely stellar rookie years, and I look for them to continue upon that, right? Do I think they'll be number 1 again? It's really hard to go number 1 back-to-back. Wouldn't be surprised to see us fall down to 4-3. But I do still think that this Philadelphia team, as long as Vic Fangio is in Philadelphia, I think that this team can be a top 5 unit in the NFL, specifically against the pass and the run. I think that we're going to be very good in run defense. Zach Bond's going to step up and be able to teach these new young linebackers who are getting a lot of reps right now, and get them kind of ready and up to speed. One thing I would like to see us be better at is actually finishing plays by sacking the quarterback. right? We were very good at getting in his face and generating pressure. We were a top 4 team at generating pressure against the quarterback. I want to see us finish those and turn those into sacks because that changes the game. In terms of takeaways, can't really ask for more than what we did a year ago. For that reason, it's hard to go number 1 back-to-back. Give me the Philadelphia's falling down to 4, but staying in the top 10, the upper levels of the top 10.
I think you hit it when you said Vic Fangio. As long as we have him, I think if we follow that system and we perfect it even more, again, this is the first year of running it. Next year it just gets even better. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff that he still hasn't done.
Right.
I don't have him falling too far. I have him actually number 2. But we still got the Vanilla Gorilla, right? We got Vanilla Gorilla coming in there with Ty Robinson. We got to see what we got with Jahad Campbell. Is Dean going to come back to his normal state? The only questions that we have, you already know, is our secondary. And I hate to say it is, okay, you've had, 2 years with Ringo out there on the bench. I think he's tired of seeing his guys out there and he's wanting to play.
Right.
I want to see what he could do. But at the same time, we did pick up Andrew, and we want to see what we got out of him. I do love the fact that if we could use Cooper DeJean at the safety level, that makes me feel a lot better being a CJ Garner-Johnson fan.
Yeah.
Seeing him at the safety position, and then also seeing what packages they bring out to put him back in the nickel, in the slot position as well. But see that trade-off happen. But if they use him like that, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles could go number 1, if not number 2, defense this season. I don't think they fall off that drastic.
I can agree with that.
And we got to remember who adds the pressure in the front line.
Right. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
If Jalen Carter is adding the pressure, that means everybody else is free. If he gets doubled, right?
Yeah.
If he gets doubled, everybody else has their opportunity. As long as Jalen Carter stay healthy, as long as we sign Jordan Davis, that defense is going to be nasty, man. That front is going to be just as good as last year, if not. And we got younger, so
yeah. And we're also the least expensive defense in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, brother. It's crazy. But yeah.
Excited for a lot of those things to come. Next up, you've got the Minnesota Vikings. Now, when you look at the Minnesota Vikings in terms of run defense, pass defense, and total yards, they weren't really that great, right? They allowed a lot of yards. They were 19th in total yards, 28th or 26th in total defense, and then 15th in runs. So not a lot of great numbers. The big thing for me when it comes to this Minnesota team, they didn't let other teams score the football, right? They were top 4 in the NFL and not allowing points per game, which to me, when we're talking defense, is arguably the most important part of playing a defensive countermeasure, right? Is that you can let teams do what they want to do in terms of running and passing. Are they scoring on you? That's what's important to me. And Minnesota did a great job a year ago, not allowing teams to score the football. They were also one of the heaviest blitzing teams. I think that, their coach over there, O'Brien, is very good, very creative at getting his guys in there. Another one of those teams that were really good at pressuring the quarterback a year ago. I thought that, Minnesota was the highest blitzing team in the NFL, but it worked, right? It was very creative. I think that he comes up with new things each year to make that defense competitive. Again, while the Minnesota Vikings on paper, when you look at their total yards allowed, you're kind of like, eesh, they let teams kind of go up and down the field. They don't let teams score. And to me, that's more important than, we may have let up 300 passing yards, but the team only scored 10 points because we were so good in the red zone and because we were so good at forcing field goals and forcing turnovers.
I think their schedule helped them. What happened?
Oh.
I think that their schedule definitely helped them with some of the teams that they played last year. I would like to see if they can duplicate what they did last year into this season. Their
defense is going to have to be their backbone.
Yeah, and so with that being said, I'll just make it short. Again, this is another team I just want to see perform at a higher level, because we can't base anything off of last year due to their schedule.
Yeah.
And they really played nobody, and then when it mattered the most, again, it's another team that went into the playoffs and yeah, lost in the first round. So.
Solid. And I agree with you. I'm not saying that this Minnesota team is going to be like a Super Bowl favorite. I do think that they will be better in stopping the run, stopping the pass. If they can do that, they'll buy J.J. McCarthy time to develop. DP?
Yeah, I like Minnesota defensively. I think they were actually one of the hidden strong points of the team last year.
100%.
Darnold proved to be what he was. He turned into a pumpkin, but this defense is legit.
Me and Mike were preaching this before. I'm telling you, you had people saying there's no way they're going to beat the Rams are going to beat them. Minnesota's going to the NFC Championship, and we're like, look at me in my face right now. Did you watch him against the Lions?
Yeah,
like
it was part of the reason why I was so confident last year, was just looking at the scope of quarterbacks that we would have to potentially go against. It's like, I'm not afraid of Goff. I'm not afraid of Sam Darnold. I'm not afraid of Love, Dak, none of them. And then,
Matthew Stafford was the only one that you looked at him and you were kind of like,
but I still wasn't. The reason why I wasn't afraid of him is because for whatever reason, it seems like we have their number. And know, once teams get your number, it's kind of hard to get out of that rut.
Us in Tampa.
Yeah. Or us and what we used to be with Seattle.
Right. Well, that's going to be my top five, guys. Sports with Sunshine has that's my top five. I got the Baltimore Ravens, the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, your Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, we're going to move up to my man Chosen's defensive list. It's different than mine. I'm going to let him take the floor and kind of run through why he has teams where they are. Go ahead, my man.
Yeah, I have them because of what they looked like last year. Okay. Look, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. Put some respect on our name. We are Super Bowl champions. Until you dethrone us, right? Then we move down on the ladder, right? Let us get through the season. But this is an early prediction. But the Philadelphia Eagles didn't take. I don't think that they took too much from too much of a hit as I thought that they would. They did really good in the draft, like they always do. We replaced counterparts. We've seen Ty Robinson do really good, like I mentioned. I mean, the only thing that we're looking at is our secondary and seeing, okay, what packages are we going to run? Where are we going to put guys? Who's gonna win those battles during the preseason? And then, we just got backups on backups on backups and rotations after rotations. It's hard. I mean, as good as the Ravens and number 2 is constructed, they don't got the rotation like we got. And I think that's why I say we right now we can plug and play right now. And the way that Vic is running his system has been phenomenal. And if you guys haven't watched the Super Bowl, watch it again and you'll see why I put him at the number 1 position. Number 2, I got the Ravens because of all the stuff that they did on defense. It's hard not to. The Texans, we talked about that already with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and the mentality. And then the last 2 teams, we talked about those. Let's see what it looks like in this next season. Let's see what they could put together because their schedule is not going to be the same. And the divisions and the Denver Broncos just got even more scarier. And so let's see. That's my top 5. I made it real quick for you. But you can't dethrone. I'm going to put Eagles number 1 until after this, till probably mid-season. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what we look like by week 6.
Yeah, no, the only reason I say it, like I said, it's really hard to be number 1 back-to-back. If anybody can do it, I think Vic can definitely get that done for us.
No, I know. I see where you put us. You put us at number 4, and we're gonna.
Oh yeah, listen, we got to take the goggles off. We got to look at it objectively. Listen, we got areas to improve, right? I think that
absolutely,
specifically in run defense and getting after the quarterback. And I'm really excited to see what this Houston Texans and this Broncos team could be.
Yeah, 100%.
DP, any comments before we move on to your list?
I mean, it seems like we all had the same list, just
defensively. Yeah, we were.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Defensively, we were very similar. We could pull up DP's real quick. I'll put you in the driver's seat. DP has the Broncos at 1.
It's all the same. It's all the same team.
Yeah, We all were very in agreement. Another team, though, that I want to point out that could make a gigantic jump defensively, the Tennessee Titans. I understand they were a bad football team. I get that. I'm not saying the Tennessee Titans are going to take over the AFC South and all this stuff. But a year ago, the only statistical category in which they were not top 6 was run defense, I believe. No, pass defense. That's the only place where they really struggled. Outside of that, Tennessee had a pretty damn good defense coming into it. So we'll see what they can do as well. Now, guys, we're going to move on to the offensive side of the ball, and you guys are about to get mad at me.
One second. I got an honorable mention, though. With Saleh back at the Niners, and with the Niners, I got the Niners with, if they stay healthy, right, I have them as an honorable mention, too. They got to be interesting. Yeah, I got to put them back in the conversation. So I got them as an honorable mention.
I don't hate that, especially with Robert Sale returning. I think he's going to make the Niners competitive again on the defensive side of the football. So my honorable mention will be Tennessee. His is the Niners. Do you have an honorable mention, DP?
Nah, not outside of that.
Yeah,
the Rams.
Yeah. That's a good one.
You got to watch out. You got to watch out for that front four. That front 7 is nasty.
Yeah, they're young. They're real young, man, especially in the back end, or in the front 4 as well as the back end. The Rams could be a dangerous team. I think they're the most dangerous team to us in the NFC, if you just want my personal opinion on it. Next up, guys, we're going to talk about the top 5 offenses coming into 2025, and I'm not going to lie, you guys are going to be very upset with me. So I'll go last. Because you're going to be very mad with me. We'll start with Chosen. Top 5 offenses.
Hell nah. This is your show. You go to your thing, and we
listen.
If we mad, we mad.
Mine's going to go last because it's different than both of yours. Completely. It's completely different than both of yours.
Okay. I guess. Okay, I'll go. Mm-hmm. Ravens offense, obviously they got 2 really good tight ends with Andrew and Likely over there. They picked up Hopkins. They add dynamic with Bateman and with Zay. Hopefully Zay has a healthy season there. I mean, other than their offensive line being like top 10 or top 5, where's the holes? They got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. It's kind of hard for me to say that if this offense cannot put damage on the board, I don't think they ever will. And I don't think they'll ever win a Super Bowl. If this is not their year, again, I'm gonna say it right here, right now. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, they never gonna win the Super Bowl. There's no way. The way that this team is constructed, there's no way in hell, barring injury, they can't win the Super Bowl. So this is their year. I got the Eagles at number 2. We got the best duo. Come on now. Mark would disagree with me.
He said trio. Mark, listen, don't even get me started on the Devontae Smith slander that I see the night ago.
It was crazy. It went viral. But it's cool. I think he did that on purpose. Because Devontae Smith is a Bama guy that DP mentioned, and that makes perfect sense. Him being Tennessee, but at the end of the day, our offensive line is crazy. Dallas Goedert is coming back. We got DP. Okay, three wide receivers, a trio. We got the best running back in the league, and Saquon Barkley. Let me mention 2 more people that we need to put some respect on. We got AJ Dillon to back him up. And guess who's backing up AJ Dillon? Will Shipley. If you don't know who Will Shipley is, go watch him.
The Clemson grad.
Yeah, go watch him in the NFC Championship when we had
to put him in.
When he
had his first one, buddy was mad as hell. He fell down. He said,
Yeah, we're loaded, right? We're loaded on offense until 2030. And the only position that I'm kind of just taking deep breaths and trying to walk it through is that tight end position. Dallas, let's stay Dallas Goedert stay healthy this season, my boy. Yeah, and then again, I will say this on here. I would love to see again. I don't know. You guys probably heard me say this 1,000 times. I would love to see Johnny Wilson transition into the wide receiver into the tight end position.
He's got
He
the
does,
body for it, yeah.
yeah, maybe not for the blocking purposes. Maybe Caltera can do that, but maybe he can do some routes and some stuff like that and get in the game with that. If so happens he Dallas Goedert goes down again, but Dallas, let's stay healthy. Dallas Goedert, let's stay healthy, my guy. Let's move on to the Buffalo Bills. I got the Buffalo Bills because I mean we were dealing with Superman here. Their quarterback. Josh Allen does a little bit of everything. They do have some holes on that offense, but they're very dynamic. They put numbers. They put the numbers up. And I mean, you got to put respect. Respect is due. They're an elite offense, and they showed why in the AFC. Going into the playoffs. The Rams just picked up Adams. They just picked up Adams. They got a good duo there. You got a good duo over there now with
Absolutely.
Adams, Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams is he runs out of his mind. Tight end is solid, and then I mean, this is his last year. I think there's a lot he's gonna put with Sam with Stafford.
Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford. There's a lot riding on this as being his last season, so I think he wants to go out with a bang. I think this offense improves. I think this offense gets better, and we can't count out Sean. You know what I mean? Sean's going to do what he's going to do as coach. And then we got the Bengals. I got the Bengals up there. They put
Bengals.
I got the Bengals up there because they put up hella points, but their defense is trash. Like their defense is straight dog water, but they put up points. They Joe Burrow is nasty, and they got T. Higgins over there and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, arguably one of the best wide receivers out there. And you know, the only thing that they're lacking is a run game. I think Chase Brown is not the answer. They could get another solid running back, and they're off to the races again. But they put up the points. They could fight with you with points, but their defense can't do not a dang thing. And so, but we're talking about top 5 offenses, and that would be my top 5 offensives. And then my honorable mention, I have to put the Lions in there, even though I didn't want to.
They scored points. They're respectfully, they're a good offense.
Yeah. They're a good offense, but I will say this to every Lion fan, or to everybody that wants to join in this conversation. As much points that they put up, they do give away interceptions, right? Jared Goff is a interception machine. So if he's going to put up 5 interceptions a game against any team this season, I don't see them making playoffs. I don't. He has to play a clean game. He has to clean up those mechanics. He has to learn how to be under pressure and be elite under pressure. He has to read the room and understand what he needs to do and just hand the ball off if you're too scared to play the game. You got Jahmyr Gibbs and you got Montgomery over there. But, I mean, we can't say they got Sam Laporta. They got, J-Mo. They got St. Brown, who talks a lot of trash. But
that's a star-studded roster on offense.
Yeah, it is. They did lose their center. So they got to figure that out. They got a little bit of stuff that they got to figure out. Which means when they're playing against the Philadelphia Eagles that Jalen Carter is going to have a field day. But with that being said, I mean, when healthy, hopefully we see if Jared Goff can come up to the task and do exactly what he needs to do. But I don't see them as a top 5 offense only because you don't know what Jared Goff is going to do. You don't know what he's going to be. You don't know how he's going to perform. And that's scary to be a Detroit Lions fan when you don't know if your quarterback is going to throw 5 touchdowns or 5 interceptions. You know what I mean? And you got to lean on Jahmyr Gibbs. With that being said, that's my 5 and my honorable mention.
It's a solid 5. It's there's a lot of these teams that we've seen last year that were very good offensively. Next up, we've got my man down South's offensive attack right here. Let's talk about it for a minute, my man. Get into it.
Yeah, hell no, you put Tampa Bay up there.
Yeah, I did. No, hear me out. Hear me out.
He's a
right. Nah.
Hear me out.
You gonna hate
over there?
I made my list thinking outside of the box because I knew the general consensus that it was going to be, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I wanted to get away. Bless you. I wanted to get away from.
DB said, bless you.
I wanted to get away from what everybody else would have on the list. So had to lead it up with the Bills. I think that the reigning MVP at this point has figured out his formula for success in the regular season.
Yeah, but so he's just got to figure it out against Pat.
Well, we don't have any questions on what they can do in the regular season. They know how to put up points. They know how to win games. Their biggest question will be, can they beat Pat Mahomes in the playoffs? So I'm not worried about them. They seem to figure out their formula. They run the ball well. They have good enough wide receivers to make plays when needed, and then Josh Allen is going to will you to a great regular season. Now, when we get
I have a question for you before you turn the table. Do we the whole panel? So, do you think that this season they're going to have to worry about a Patrick Mahomes this season? Do you think that they're going to have to play? Yeah. They're going to have to play against the Chiefs.
Yeah. As long as Patrick Mahomes,
I have to see them dethroned. See, I think a lot of people think that because of what they saw in the Super Bowl, that the Chiefs are going to fall off a cliff.
I was about to say, as long as Patrick
Mahomes, no. It's what I seen the whole entire season: 3 to 7 points, and then getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man.
You're saying they're not going to be able to. You're saying they're not going to be able to go 11-1 in one-score games again. Like, I get that. That's a long stretch. But as long as Patrick Mahomes, Steve Spagnuolo, and Andy Reid are all on the same sideline, they have a chance.
I got them winning the division again. Honestly,
that's hard for me to. That's just so like that's like saying like, okay, OKC just won. They just won last year, right? I mean, next year they're going to be like, oh, until we see OKC fall off, I don't.
But that's 1 year though.
Yeah, I'm about to say the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl consistently.
Yeah. Come on now, they were on the verge of a three-peat until they ran.
Yeah, I'm about to say they went 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
so I mean that's not the same.
Yeah, okay, so that was a bad example, but I mean, what I'm saying is I gotta see year by year because the NFL is not like any other sport, right? I gotta see year by year on what they gonna do for me to say the Chiefs again or the Chiefs again. I understand now. I fully understand, and I totally agree. They have Andy Reid, they have Spagnuolo, they have Patrick Mahomes, right? But also the Patriots had Gronkowski, they had Tom Brady, and they still went down. So all I'm saying is going into this next season, if I'm just saying, is it possible if you see them in the first 8 games losing or winning by 3 to 7 points, you could see them in the playoffs doing the same exact thing as they did last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they showed signs of being on the down, but until it happened, because every year, like there were times, like all year last year, we were like, man, they're going to run into the right team in the playoffs and they're going to get bounced out, and it never happened. Now,
for the past 3 seasons, we've been saying that they've been falling off a cliff, but
like we're always like, oh man, this is the year, this is when Lamar is going to find the year, and the Ravens had the number 1 points allowed defense, and they had to go to Baltimore. And they still couldn't get it done because for whatever reason, unless your name's Jalen Hurts, you don't get it done against Patrick Mahomes. Like I don't understand why those guys can't get it done. They just can't.
Yeah. All I'll say to end this, so you can continue because I want you to continue. Obviously, but it's just I don't think that the Bills are going to see the Chiefs. I think they're going to see the Ravens again in the AFC Championship.
They should with that roster.
It's possible. It's possible,
yeah,
but that's just one of those things.
Now, I would be worried. If they're a wild card team and they have to play against, you or whatever, but they go into your house now. So, I mean, we'll see, man. I don't know. I'm not a big.
I mean, I got to see every season. This is a season bunch, man.
Yeah. I got them losing. I still have them losing their division. So I do think they're going to experience a fall off, but they'll still be a playoff team.
That's the thing. They've been so good that their fall off still will have them make noise in the AFC.
They'll make the divisional, and people will be like, "Man, this Chiefs team sucks."
Right?
you got teams in the AFC that can't even make the wild card. It's crazy, man. But I do think that this. I agree with what Chosen's saying in terms of last season. It certainly did look like there were a couple games where you're like, You're not going to get away with that twice. Like, you know what I mean? Like that Texans first game. I thought the Texans were going to bounce them in the wild card game. It looked like they were going to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. Even in the playoffs, playing against a hurt Texans team,
yeah,
they still struggled. And then, I mean, are we saying that the Eagles and the Eagles versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl was a fluke?
No, that was just one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen.
That was complete.
It was dominant. It was dominance all the way around. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, from the first snap to the last.
Yeah, our special team, our kicking was great, which we were kind of like, okay, Jake, what are you gonna do? Our defense was takeaways and everything like that. We beat them in every aspect that you could think about. So how do the Chiefs really bounce back from I almost said that from the butt whooping that they took,
from a good old fashioned butt whooping,
and be able to come back playing against some of these teams that did. I don't know. Okay, we'll carry on because this could be a conversation.
We're gonna come back to this for sure. We're gonna spin the
block
on
its own segment for sure.
Yeah, we could talk 45 minutes about the Chiefs.
Yeah, I just don't see it,
number two on my list is Lamar and the gang. They haven't gotten anywhere. As you said, they got a 2-time MVP. If they decide to actually use Derrick Henry the way he's supposed to be used, then we're talking about them in the AFC Championship on their way to a Super Bowl.
Can you elaborate on that? How should they use him?
So, in my opinion, they should use him similar to how we use Saquon.
100%. They don't give him enough touches.
So one thing that I don't like.
So by touches. So we're talking touches, or we're talking about.
I'm talking touches, but I'm also talking about on a third down basis. They use him on first and second. When they get down, when they get behind the chains, third and longs, he comes out. Now I don't know if every time they throw him the ball, he catches it. So I'm not saying that he can't catch it. Their second back is very capable in justice of catching the ball on third down. But I think you make yourself one-dimensional when every time that it's a passing situation, you take him out of the game.
Right, because defense is key in on that.
Yeah, they key in on that. I mean, it's on film at this point. So and then another thing is I think they rely too much, and not just the Ravens. I think this is league-wide. Teams rely too much on the arms of their quarterbacks. They want to dock Hurts for how we use him, but we actually use him properly. Throw when you need to, not because you can. And it kind of hurts the argument for Hurts being in any of these top discussions just because he doesn't have the attempts, he doesn't have the yards. But
I disagree because I don't think that those top 5 lists need to be comprised of just did he throw for a lot of yards, did he throw a lot of touchdowns.
They shouldn't, but they are though.
Right, but you should look at how a quarterback is performing within the offense he's being asked to run. I think too many people don't look at it that way.
Quarterback, the quarterback position is how well you run the offense, and you can argue that Hurts runs his offense better or just as good as anybody in the league. That's why I have him top 2. But to get back to the Ravens, they don't have any drop off. You already listed all the reasons why they're great. They don't need a Smitty and an AJ to get to the next level. They just need to take the ball out of Lamar's hands and give it to Henry.
Right.
They do that. Like I said, they'll be in the AFC Championship, knocking on the door of a Super Bowl. Now, obviously, I got to talk about those bad men in Philly. The last game we saw them play was a massacre. Sweet chin music is what I like to call
from
it. From the top rope. Need I say more? The only thing that we lost was Mekhi Becton, and you can argue that we are just as good as we are in Tyler Steen because, in my opinion, I think he beat him out in camp. He just got hurt, and then once you get hurt, you open the door for somebody to take your spot. And with him being this massive man that he is, he came in and was a great run blocker. Now he was a liability in the pass protection.
Yeah, it wasn't great in pass coverage.
So I feel like we've gotten better from that aspect. I don't think that there's much of a drop off in the run game either. Steen is very seasoned in Stoutland University, and if he can stay healthy, I don't think we miss a beat on the offensive side of the ball. We got AJ, we got Smitty, we got Goddard. Now it's an honorable mention. When we talk about Goddard, we know he's going to get hurt. So let's not even dispel that myth of hoping
it's
that
going to happen at some point.
I'm hearing some good things from Nick Muse. Nick Muse could be pushing for that number 2 tight end spot, potentially being the guy once Goddard hangs it up. Now it's very early. Not we aren't even in pads yet, so this is shorts that we're talking about. But
Right.
I hear some good reports out of him, potentially being one of those guys in the conversation when it comes to 2 and 3 position tight end. Now we get to
Before we get
the
there,
Lions. Yeah.
is there any questions from any of you from maybe what Kevin brings to the? I mean, a lot of people, we're not talking about
For
that a
sure.
lot, but do we have any questions about how Kevin is going to run this offense? Is it going to be similar to last year? I mean, we understand that Jalen Hurts has been through this, and this is the norm for him. But I'm talking as the offense as a whole. Could this help us or hurt us? Like, there's a lot of questions for Philly fans. Like, what are your guys? I know he's from the inside again. To add context to that, but what does he really bring to the offensive coordinator position?
Well, we don't even have to guess. We can just go back to how we looked in 23. Brand new offensive coordinator. I think we tend to always think about how the season ended, but this was a good offense, even though it didn't really ever look dominant. It was like, if we turn the knob just a little bit.
It was derailed by turnovers. Jalen Hurts was turning the football over at too high of a rate.
He was turning the ball over, but this was a top offense in the league. And
right.
People forget that when we were in that 10-1 stretch, Hurts was in the MVP conversation. So no matter how, it didn't look like 22, but it wasn't bad. And I suspect that I think that would be our floor. 23's offense could be our floor. Now, I know that's scary. I don't suspect that Hurts turns the ball over 15
You're right.
interceptions.
Yeah.
Because we have Saquon. I think that was another reason why that offense suffered, is because for whatever reason we decided not to run the ball as much as we should have.
Right. And when you have that offensive line, you can do it with anybody.
We can do it with anybody, but we don't just have anybody. We have 2K Stay, and we got AJ Dillon. So I suspect that the biggest question mark will be run pass ratio, right? And that's only going to be dictated by what defense we're playing. If you're weak in the run, we're gonna run it down your throat. If you can't cover us out wide, you're gonna have a long day covering AJ and Smitty.
Like, we're looking at this Tampa, and I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think, and this is a really good question from Chosen. I think that a lot of Eagles fans are kind of worried about what this offense is going to look like. I think that, and he hit it out of the park whenever he said that this is Jalen Hurts' norm. I think that Jalen Hurts is the system. Right? You bring in a guy like Kevin Patul, he's going to add wrinkles, right? His own kind of caveats that are different from Kellen's. But overall, it's not going to look that different. I don't think so either. I think when you have a guy like Saquon Barkley, you lean on him during, the hard times. Do I think his touch total is going to go down? Absolutely. That's what you bring A.J. Dillon in. That's what Will Shipley's been being trained for. Because 345 touches a year is not sustainable. Eventually, you're going to get hurt, right? So you take that touch total down, and you still have an explosive guy in Saquon. You got a top 5 receiver in A.J. Brown. Mark, if you're watching, you got a top 10 receiver, okay, in Devontae Alabama Smith, all right? You got a dude that would start on many other NFL teams, and you got Dallas Goedert coming back, which is a favorite target of Jalen Hurts. I think that we are going to see one of the best versions of Jalen Hurts next season that we have ever seen in terms of throwing the football.
I totally 100% agree with that, man. The fact that Jalen Hurts this season got on the phone, a phone call with Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, and a lot of these guys that went back to back, LeBron James, and the list goes on, and really started fine tuning. What did he take? Only like 2 weeks off, and then he was back to work. You're gonna see he was fine tuning in the off season before the off season even started, but he's fine tuning a lot of things. You're gonna see a different Jalen Hurts that you've never seen before. I totally agree with that, and I sign off on that as well.
Go ahead. Yeah, DP, you can wrap your list up. Boss, go ahead and get back into Detroit.
Yeah, man. So, we got Detroit. Now, keep in mind, this list has nothing to do with the playoffs. This is a regular season list.
I'm with you. I'm with
that,
you.
With that being said,
I don't know if I should comment anymore after this.
Chosen mentioned that we don't know what we're going to get out of golf, but we actually do. We know exactly what we're going to get out of golf in the regular season.
A lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of turnovers.
Yards, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of turnovers. But he's going to deliver offensively until you get to the playoffs. Yeah. Will he give you those 4 interception games? Absolutely. But we're not asking him to do much. Just finish the season. With that being said, if they decide to run the ball with those 2 dynamic backs that they have, they have Amon St. Brown, they have J-Mo on the outside, they got Laporta as a tight end. Now, like you said, what remains to be seen is them losing that center. How's that going to affect them? Is their number 2 capable of at least not getting ran through? I don't know. We'll see. But if they can hold up, they did lose. I think that losing Ben Johnson is huge for them. But with that being said, they still have.
They lost 22 coaches, didn't they?
I don't know if they lost 22, but
it was a big part of the offense. A lot of coordinators.
The biggest 2 losses are the offensive and defensive coordinators, and we already know how that can go. But offensively, I don't think that they take that big of a step back, and they have a great equalizer in the run game if they do tend to suffer in the passing game specifically. So I think they'll be fine in the regular season. All right. So I shocked a lot of people. I shocked a lot of people.
I'm gonna shut my mic.
Putting Tampa Bay on this list now. Before we lose our stuff.
Now, let me start by saying this. I agree with you.
Hey, I'm not even a big fan of Maker.
Is that because you live in
Maker?
Is that because you live in Florida?
It's because of the numbers. I went and looked at the numbers. Tampa was
don't let them numbers lie to you.
Offensively,
don't
very good.
Them numbers lie to you, brother. They were the most inconsistent team in the whole entire NFL.
But they also scored a lot of points.
Again, we can't judge them for what they do in the playoffs.
I'm gonna judge them.
We don't care what they do in the playoffs. I know
I can't wait to see them in week 4.
Right. But with that being said, they got Baker Mayfield returning for another year. You already know what you're getting out of him, right? He can put up numbers, especially in the regular season.
I think he's shown now that he's comfortable in this Tampa offense. He's done it back-to-back years now.
It's his offense.
I will say that I do like the fact that he got really mature. Like he matured and he adapted and said like Sunshine said, like, this is my offense now. It got handed from me from Tom Brady to me. Like, this is my offense now. I love the maturity that he has, but I don't know about no Tampa Bay.
But the biggest question mark for them would be health, especially on the wide receiver. They got an aging Evans who's a walking 1,000-yard season every year. Godwin is coming off an injury. I forget I like their number 3 last year that they had. I can't remember his name, but then they drafted this other kid out of Ohio State. So they have weapons. They're going to put up some points. Bucky Irvin is no slouch. I'm not going to say he's on. I don't think he's on that top tier running backs, but he can be on that too. Good enough. He's just as good as a Brown in Cincinnati, in my opinion.
I think he's better.
And they got a great offensive line. We already know what an
all-pro, yeah.
We already know what a good offensive line can do for a team. So they have all the pieces to be a successful team or successful unit, I would say, in 24, 25.
That's fair. All right. Now we're going to talk about mine because my list looks crazy and man, Philly fans would be upset with me after seeing this. All right. So here's my top 5. You got the Buffalo Bills at 1 for obvious reasons. Josh Allen is a superhuman. I think Buffalo falls very similarly into the same category as the Minnesota Vikings. When you look at their total pass numbers and their total rush numbers, you're not really wowed. But when it came down to it, they scored a lot of points. Guys, second in the NFL at 30 points a game. That's insane. Okay, and even if you're not putting up crazy passing numbers and rushing numbers, at the end of the day, only thing that matters is are you getting into the red zone. They were also one of the best red zone offenses in football a year ago, and I think that
wait, I just seen something. Philly is not up on here.
That's why he said we would be upset.
Listen, I think that the Philly.
I look down. I look down at the list. I'm looking at him like, did this dude just? I almost said something I should not say on here.
Listen, I'm gonna explain why I don't have Philly in my top 5. It's not because I don't think that they have the capability. They are my honorable mention, but I'm gonna get to it after Tampa. I'm gonna get to it because all that stuff I said about Jalen Hurts now it looks like I'm bad mouthing him. But
absolutely, I mean
with the Buffalo Bills, man, I think that Josh Allen's a superhuman. They need James Cook to come back and play in that offense because he makes Josh Allen significantly better. Josh Allen has done the most with the least. Everybody loves to talk about Lamar and his ability to do it without a number one receiver. Who has his number one receiver been outside of an old age Stephon Diggs? He had Gabe Davis for 2 years, right? Great. Gabe Davis put up similar numbers to Rashad Bateman. So we're not going to sit here and act like Josh Allen had this super great receiving core while Lamar was doing it without one. We're not going to do that.
I think that's his formula, though. I think that after figuring out that he can be an elite quarterback in this league, in order for him to progress to that next level, he needs to be one of the best players on the offensive side of the ball.
100%. Like that offense calls for him to do that, right? The Bills, they need him to do that because they don't have an elite running back in Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. They don't have an A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb that can just take over games or Jamar Chase. So the Bills, I still think, are going to be one of the best offenses in football, specifically at scoring the ball. I think that this Bills team is going to be even better on the ground as the offensive line has gotten better over the years. But yeah, I'm gonna rock with them at 1. And I think 1, 2, and 3 are kind of interchangeable. I think anything could happen with those teams. Next up, for obvious reasons, we beat it with a hammer. The Baltimore Ravens have a stacked football team. You have 2 top 10 tight ends in Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. And yes, I know Mark Andrews dropped the football. He cannot do that if he wants to be considered one of the best tight ends in the game. But he's still a top 5 tight end, even after that drop. Because a lot of people want to say, Patrick Mahomes is still a top 5 quarterback even after getting dominated in the Super Bowl. Mark Andrews is still a top 5 tight end even after dropping a football. Okay? Guys drop footballs. You have Derrick Henry, who is arguably the best running back in football. Obviously, we know it's Saquon Barkley, but a lot of people will argue that Derrick Henry is the most consistent and best running back in football. It's a 1A, 1B type situation. The Baltimore Ravens have a top 5 offensive line. Baltimore fans, you're not going to sit here and tell me the Baltimore Ravens don't have a top 5 graded offensive line. They're good on the offensive line. Very good year in and year out. You got Lamar Jackson, who can literally do it all until the playoffs come around. Outside of this year, I thought he did have a good playoff run this previous year. Outside of the 2 turnovers in the divisional game, he played pretty well within the offense. He still gave his team a chance at the end. I know the 2 turnovers kind of hurt them, but he still gave them a chance. He didn't play horridly out of those 2 compared to other playoff years. You remember when they played the Titans in back-to-back years? He was horrible in those games. Horrible. So in terms of offense, I think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to be a significantly better unit. Them and the Bills right now. With the Chiefs on the decline, I think them and the Bills are on their way up at the moment.
Do you think Lamar is going to come back this year? The fact that he sniffed like he sniffed it, you know what I'm saying? Like he's like, bruh, I'm right there. Do you think he comes back with that kind of urge of wanting to get over the hump, or do you think that he just is going to play his game like he always does?
I don't think that. I think Lamar,
wait a minute. Did you just take a deep breath right now?
Because people. Viewers swear to God I hate Lamar. I don't hate Lamar. I think that he's a very talented quarterback, but I do think he buys in to what people say about him, unlike Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts has dealt with scrutiny and all that stuff, and what has he done? And played football. He shut up and he's went out there, he's worked, and he's got better. You got Lamar, commenting on these content creators. You've seen the content creator that went viral where he commented on the Instagram post. MJ with the sports, he's an Eagles fan. And he commented on it and was like, yeah, you guys are always on my blah, blah, blah. I won't say it on here because this is a family show. But at the end of the day, Lamar has got to stop trying to be Superman. You have Derrick Henry. DP said it earlier. Use your weapons. Jalen's doing it right now and won him a Super Bowl. Use your weapons and play your game.
So do you think that that's his fault or Harbaugh?
I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of the 2. Yeah. I don't think it's all on Lamar. Like, in no way am I saying that this is all Lamar's fault, because Lamar has bad playoff games, but so do his teammates. His teammates don't really show up either. His defense has Go ahead.
Because if we talk about that, which you just talked about, I want to rewind. You just talked about that catch that should have been caught by
Mark.
Andrew,
Yeah.
Mark Andrews. Why they didn't do a play call for it? I mean, it almost makes you think about the Marshawn Lynch thing with Pete Carroll, right? Like, why didn't you give it to Derrick Henry? So that's what I'm saying. Can we fault? I mean, yeah, he had 2 turnovers. I mean, Lamar had 2 turnovers. But if you would have gave it to, we're saying with the what ifs, but what if we gave it to Derrick Henry? Will we see them in that AFC Championship? You get what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
How much is it like Lamar, and how much is it the play calling?
I think in any system, it's always 50-50, right? Like there's times when the play calling fails you. There's time when your quarterback makes the wrong move. I think this playoff game specifically, it was a combination of the two. Lamar had the fumble that led directly to a touchdown. That interception was a vast overthrow. It didn't lead to points, but it cost his team points. And then you get on the goal line, and that was the right play call. Okay, Mark Andrews was wide open. He was wide open. He just dropped it. And if you want to be a top 5 tight end in the league, you just can't drop it. I'm not going to put
same play. He dropped it, and when they're playing against the Steelers, the same exact play on the goal line.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not going to. But that's a Mark Andrews problem. I don't think that's a Harbaugh problem. I think that's a Mark Andrews problem because he's wide open. You are so like Dallas Goedert catches that football. Right, like Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, all those guys, they're catching that football. George Kittle, they're going to catch that
Brock
football
Bowers,
call today.
Yeah.
Brock Bauer, great example. Brock Bauer's a rookie. He's catching that football. So I think that's on Mark Andrews solely, and I think he knows that. Comes back to work, he'll be fine. But for those reasons, I had the Ravens at 2, and I don't think anybody should have them any lower than that because they score points and they're great.
Wait. I want to, because pretty soon here, I want to switch this real quick because pretty soon you're going to put why you have.
Dang, I meant to put myself at the bottom anyway. Anyway, we'll move on now. We've got the Detroit Lions coming into 3.
Put you in the big screen so you can look me in the eyes.
I'm looking at you right in this camera. Listen, the Detroit Lions. Yes, he's right. Chosen's right when he says you know what you're going to get out of Jared Goff. Okay, Jared Goff is going to throw for a lot of yards. Okay, DP also touched on this. He's going to get a lot of touchdowns. It's going to be a lot of great. It's also some games where he's going to throw 5 interceptions. My quarterback's not going to do that. But Jared will. Okay, he will throw the football. He's a gunslinger. But outside of that, Detroit still scores the football, guys. 33 points a game. They led the NFL a year ago. They were great through the air, great on the ground. Gibbs is a superstar. Montgomery's incredible. This offense is still going to be rolling. But you do have to take into account that Ben Johnson's in Chicago now. That is a fair take. And when you lose your center, that's different. Like a lot of people love left tackle. They think the left tackle, like he's the great, blah, blah. When you lose your center, your whole offensive line disrupts. The whole continuity of the offensive line gets messed up. The center is literally the quarterback of the offensive line. He's the guy that makes most of the checks, gets guys in the right protections. Now you have a new guy stepping into that role. That's going to affect, to me, that's bigger than Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson was an elite coordinator, but there's a lot of elite coordinators, right? There were moments in the playoffs where we were looking at Ben Johnson like, what the hell are you doing? Like the JMO fake thing. Like, thank you. Yeah, he gets too cute sometimes. I think them losing Frank Ragnow is a much bigger hit because that offensive line is going to suffer without their guy at center. Now, can the other guy step in? I don't know who the backup is, but can he step in and, make a change? Absolutely. Not saying he can't, but he's going to have to do that. I still think, though.
They said that about us.
When Jason Kelce hung it up.
So they could have an insider. They could have a beef jerky waiting in the rings.
Do you know, to me, what the difference is? Jeff Stoutland.
Oh, yeah. There's no There's only one.
Yeah, not everybody's got a Jeff Stoutland in his pocket. So I think that even with all those losses, the Detroit Lions still have the talent with Amon St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery, JMO. I think they still have the talent to be a great offense. Time will tell what they look like in terms of continuity. But I still have them at 3 because I think they're just that talented, in my opinion. Welcome into the chat, guys. Appreciate you guys for coming in. I see you guys.
Is it cool? Is it cool we go down some of these real quick?
Yeah, let's get them.
What's going on, guys? We are here with Sports with Sunshine. This is his show. Please tap the subscribe button. We're trying to get him up to 1K here, so that would help him tremendously. We got Kendall in the chat. He said, "What up, team?" A little bit earlier.
Sports Lounge Media member, my guy.
Yeah, running it down. Soraya in there saying hi, y'all.
The GOAT mediator. What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah. She says the Bucks. I think she jumped in right when you were talking. So she didn't even get to see DP.
Yeah,
she could get it on.
We blew her
but
mind.
you could get it on the replay, guys. You could get all of these on the replay.
Go ahead and drop replay in the comments.
Don't forget, guys, all you have to do is go to www.sportsloungemedia.com. You can find all of this content as well as Sports with Sunshine on YouTube. Both of those places, you're going to be able to find the best sports content on the internet. Guys, Sports Lounge Media. Don't really need to say anything else.
Yeah, Chiefs will fall in their division. We got too many weapons to not mention. The biggest one here is DP with the. Oh, she was in here with DP. So DP with the Bucks and no Eagles for Sunshine. Where's the red button? Yeah, we're missing the red button. We're not like you. We need to get like you.
Listen, I'm gonna explain why I don't have the Eagles in the top 5. It's gonna make sense. I'm telling you, and Amoni, I'm telling you right now, brother. I'm not hating on the birds. Just give me a minute to say my piece.
Yeah. And then we got Jack just with a dot. Like, what's going on, man? Like, what's going on with Sunshine tonight?
With no birds in the top 5.
Yeah, he confused. We all confused. We waiting on it. He gonna get to it though. Bro, you lost me at Andrews being a top 5 tight end. Even if he didn't drop the pass, he's not a top 5 at his position. You want to comment on that, or
he's not top 5?
Who do we put in front of him if not?
Genuinely, who are you putting over Mark Andrews? Because right now in the NFL, you got Travis Kelce and George Kittle. To me is number 1. You got George Kittle. You got Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta. At 4, you could argue. Yeah, you know who I could see you putting in the top 5. I'll give you one name. BYNX. Trent McDuffie. Or not Trent McDuffie, excuse me, McBride. My fault. Brent or whatever his name is. McBride for the Cardinals is the only name
I do like him
that I could say you could put in the top 5 over Mark Andrews. But outside of that, we're not going to sit here and act like Mark Andrews is not right there on the door.
He's not chopped liver, guys.
Yeah.
You may not be able to count on him in fantasy, but in the real life you can.
Stout is the same dude every single day. Dude, he is the epitome of consistency. He is the offensive line coach in the NFL. Couldn't agree with you more. What do you think? What do you guys think of Keegan? People are saying he's going to get cut. You talk about the rookie Keegan.
Yeah.
I think he'll make the 53 man. We'll see what happens. It's still a really long time to the offseason, but you also have to remember, Jack, we just brought in a slew of brand new young offensive linemen in Miles Hinton, the kid from BC who's been really great at he's being cross-trained currently because obviously we have Cam Jernigan at center. So they're cross-training him at guard. And I've been hearing very good things about him in space. So listen, it's the NFL. It stands for not for that long. Okay. In the NFL, if there's a guy better than you, they're going to say, hey man, thank you for being a Philadelphia Eagle. Love you. See you. Bye-bye down the road.
But even if we cut them, they're still practice squad. So
practice squad. Right. But anyway, back to what I was talking about with the Lions. This team is supremely talented enough to be a top 5 offense in the NFL. I think that everybody would agree. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. A year ago, the Cincinnati Bengals were a top 7 team in scoring. They were the best team in throwing the football as well as scoring the football through the air. Now, the run game is kind of where they struggled. If the run game can be better and be more consistent along that offensive line, I think that this Bengals team can easily be a top 5. Guys, they were a top 5 a year ago, and they didn't have a run game, right? So I'd look at this Bengals team. When you have $500 million invested in Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, you're going to get production out of those guys. I love the tight ends that they have over there as well. Biggest question mark for me in Cincinnati, offensive line. Can the offensive line come together, get better at run blocking, get them a more – because I love what Chase Brown did for Cincinnati. He just needs to do it consistently and at a slightly higher level, right? They were, 27th in rushing offense? That's not going to get it done. Got to be better.
I think we got what we got last year with Chase Brown. I don't think he could take it that level.
I can agree with you there. I think that he's pretty close to his ceiling.
Yeah, he was damn near right there. I mean, I don't know how he can get better. I truly don't think he gets better. I think you got to go draft. You got to go find another component. I mean, I think D Swift becomes a free agent this year. There's a lot of running backs going free agents.
If I was them, get it. I would have jumped on J.K. Dobbins, and he's a Bronco. But I would have jumped on him.
These offensive coordinators and head coaches are putting their quarterbacks in a position to have to
be superstars.
be superstars. They just don't believe in running the ball like we do for whatever reason. They value stats over wins.
Well, and a lot of people will tell
love
you,
it. I love it.
yeah,
Keep doing it.
Yeah,
Keep
but I
doing
love it. Like, it's fun because you get to watch the will of people leave, right? Like in that Kansas City game, you remember when they zoomed in on the guys and they're like, "Hey, man, the Patriots did it, right? The Patriots did it. We can do this too." Blah 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 blah. And we had been punching them in the mouth with the football, but they had done a pretty good job of containing Saquon Barkley. What happened? We came out in the half. They said, "Oh, they're going to run the ball, or they'll throw the dagger." Devontae Smith for 56 yards, touchdown, ball game. Like. And you watch the will to win leave their eyes. You had Chris Jones on the sideline on his hands and knees, boo-hoo crying. Like, that's a top 5 defensive tackle in the game. And he's, like, doing everything he can. You know what I mean? Like
Jalen Hurts took this soul, by the way.
And you could tell he wanted to. Goes up to Kellen and talk about, are you sure? Are you sure we're done? My man wanted to go out and drop 60 on them boys. And I don't hate it at all. I love that mentality from Jalen because I think 2022 broke him in terms of what happened. I think it changed his perception on how he approaches the game in the best way possible, if that makes sense. We move into the number 5 spot.
Not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I have to, and this is an exclusive right here on your channel. I know what happened in 22.
All right, hit me with it.
I wore red socks on the Super Bowl.
This son of a bitch.
That's what it was.
This
whole time, y'all,
here.
Y'all thought that it was Bradbury and the Phantom call. No, it was me wearing them red socks.
He's here.
It screwed us. That's why our pass rush couldn't get there. We were slipping and sliding all over the damn place. I was never gonna tell you this if we hadn't won the Super Bowl. By the way.
DP, I thought the brotherhood we shared was closer than that, but it's okay. I'm gonna forgive you because we won.
Hey,
I threw up a little bit. I threw up a little bit and swallowed it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh my God!
Sorry, Eagles Nation.
He said that one's on me. We're gonna go back to the drawing board. That one's on me. We move into the number.
You wasn't thinking about it before you.
He just threw them Johns on, boy.
I tell you when I thought about it, when we got that holding call and we lost the game.
But he seen that hip grab and said, he looked down at his feet and went, "Oh my God." Oh my God.
Okay, so at that particular point in your mind, are you saying like I'm throwing these things away just in case I don't make this mistake again? I'm running a target.
Oh no, that will never happen.
Hold on. Jack's got a message for you. I got you.
Get those green socks out.
Tell him, Jack.
Because I was on the verge of like, if you don't got any, man, I'm about to go in NFL shop and go send you some turkey socks, man.
Amazon next day. I'll pay the $30 next day. You heard? No, I'm playing.
That's what happened.
You move into the number 5 spot. You got Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love that pick for DP because when you look at Tampa Bay was top 5 in every single offensive statistical category, right? That was without Chris Godwin. They didn't even have him. And they were top 5 in every single category. And let me tell you this right now, guys. They weren't 5 in any of them. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a high-powered offense a year ago. Okay, I think that Baker Mayfield, like we've been talking about, he's a gunslinger. Okay, he reminds me a little bit. He's like the more polished version of Jared Goff. He's going to throw a lot of touchdowns. He's going to throw some interceptions, but he's a little more polished than Jared Goff. And I think that he's found a home in Tampa Bay. That offensive line is absolutely incredible. Tristan Wirfs is an all-pro guy that needs to be up for Protector of the Year. I think he's incredible. Bucky Irving, when the running game came along for Tampa last year, because at first they weren't very good at running the football. As the running game came along, Tampa looked dangerous, man. And if they'd had Chris Godwin, they'd have beat the Commanders in that wild card game. I promise you, they would have beat the Commanders in that game.
To be fair, Baker did cost them that game.
He did. But let's also remember this. That Baker that's Baker's second time in the light. I gave Sam Darnold this pass, and y'all know how I feel about Sam Darnold. That was Sam Darnold's first time in the lights, so I'm going to give him a little bit of grace. Not really, though, because the game before that was in the regular season for the division, and he also played like doo-doo in that one. But Baker Mayfield hasn't played horribly in playoff games. Now, he did cost him that one with the fumble, but I think that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the addition of Mbuku.
Baker also wasn't on pumpkin watch.
Right. And I think that healthy Chris Godwin, productive Mike Evans, an up-and-coming Bucky Irving, and if Baker Mayfield can prove he can do what he's been doing for 3 years in a row, there's no reason to believe that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team won't be terrifying to play against on the offensive side of the football. Defense, it's another story, but offensively, they're very good.
Let's play the what if game again. What if they beat the Commanders and they move on? They play the Lions.
They beat the Lions in the regular season when they were healthy. I think they'd have got the Lions.
And then they play us.
They wouldn't have beat us. Not in that buzzsaw we had created by the NFC Championship. I don't think they'd have got past us in Philly.
No.
Closer game.
Did the Commanders? Absolutely.
I think so. Or maybe not. I don't know. Baker does turn the ball over.
And we were like hitting our stride at turning the football over at that point.
We started turning it over at an alarming clip. So I don't think that it's hard to envision us ever putting up 55 points on anybody. So let's put that out there.
That's fair. That was like an anomaly.
Yeah. Plus, I think the fans.
Hold on, wait a minute. I mean, we almost did it twice in the biggest stages that you could do it in.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Not
and
once,
if you want
but twice. Because if you would have kept Jalen Hurts, like he said, is that it? We put in 55 on. Damn,
the Chiefs. Yeah,
the Chiefs easy.
Hey,
they had
a lot of
possessions
people
that they scored 22 garbage points.
Can we just acknowledge the fact that we went into the biggest game in our sport, the pinnacle of our sport, and our coach went in and said, you know what, Kenny Pickett, go take some throws, go in there and play some football. Biggest game on earth. And our second string quarterback was in there throwing. Our whole second string was in there playing like it was a high school game.
As close as we want to say that the game against the Rams was, that game could have also been a blowout. So we dropped 2 or 3 picks in that game.
AJ Brown dropped the touchdown.
AJ Brown drops the touchdown. And it snowed. The snow didn't help us. Okay. I think the snow made the game closer than it could have been.
Okay, I'm gonna
Mike feels very strongly about this.
I haven't said it on the stream because I've been just trying to I have so much love for people, but DP, I'm gonna have to say it now, man. You're making me want to say it. I'm gonna say it. Look, if it wasn't for the damn snow, that snow helped them tremendously to make it an even playing field.
I'm agreeing.
If it wasn't for the snow, it would have been another I don't want to say BTA, man. And man, I hope I don't get okay. It was going to be another BTA, man. A lot of people
too. We would have beat the Green Bay Packers by 2 scores if Saquon wouldn't have slid to the ground. He scores a touchdown on that play where he's going to the crib. Remember, he's going to the crib and then slides down so we can kneel and get out of there.
Yeah, I strongly think that. I mean, I strongly believe, again, there won't be that many sacks. Again, Jalen Hurts does not get injured. The game becomes a BTA. And, yeah, I mean, if the snow literally helped to make that game close, and it's still with the AJ Brown drop, with a lot of things not going, it made the game interesting, and I love it because we won, but I also hate it because it kind of makes
it creates because people love the hypothetical game, so it creates what ifs.
Yeah, and Rams with the
an asterisk by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that brings me to my honorable mention, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. I know earlier I talked about, I thought that
I had to go to
Sarai, hit the button, Sarai.
Listen,
that, man. There ain't no honorable mention after all this. You gonna say my honorable mention though? Hell no.
Listen, let's take our birds goggles off for a second. Okay, this is why I don't have them as a top 5 offense. They don't need to be. For us to go back and repeat and be great in the playoffs, I don't think they need to be. Why? Because we have Saquon Barkley. Our offense is not set up for us to put up these crazy numbers. And even Even the numbers we put up, we were still top 5 in the league in scoring.
Saying all that and popping your lips is not going to prove the point. We about to debate in a couple of minutes.
So,
about to debate
top 5 in the league in scoring, okay? We were 29th in passing. That's horrible. But it's because we didn't need to throw the football. It's not what they were asking Jalen Hurts to do. And I think Jalen Hurts will always play within the confines of what he's being asked to do, because there have been times when you look at the Super Bowl, right? They do a really good job of limiting Saquon. Okay, Jalen, can you go out there and win us the football game? He does. Goes out there, puts on a show, throws for 200 plus. And, people will tell you nowadays, well, 200 yards ain't a lot. He needs to throw for 400 yards. Jalen Hurts is never going to be a quarterback that throws 400 yards. Hate to tell you. I'm going to tell you that right now. He doesn't need to. We will never need to do that in Philadelphia because of the way our offense is constructed. But you look at the Steelers game, DP. What do you have in that game? 290? 280?
Yeah.
3 tutties, no turnovers? Jalen Hurts can throw the football. That's not what the Eagles are ever going to ask him to do. They're never going to ask him to do what Josh does or what Lamar does. Why? Because our team is not constructed that way. Our team is constructed in a way where Jalen Hurts can split that responsibility with A.J. Brown. With
That's scared. Hold on. That scared the crap out of me. That was a dog just went by?
That's my dog.
No disrespect for me.
I thought he was in New York.
No disrespect for me. I thought she was trying to get to the kitchen, bro. I ain't get some water. No disrespect for me, but I was like, who is back there, bro?
No,
my bad, Stormy.
He was coming to inspect.
I don't think he liked your take.
Who are these quarterbacks that are throwing? You show me a quarterback that's consistently throwing for 300 and 400 yards. I show you a team that's losing. Because you're not throwing that much if you're winning.
You look at the Bengals. The Bengals literally had Joe. They looked at Joe Burrow and they're like, "Hey man, you have to do this so that we win games." And what happened in January? Joe Burrow was just like this right here on the couch.
So this is where I debate this. Now, obviously, we're picking 2025 top 5 offenses into the season, right?
Right.
We're not saying that they have to be top 5 to win, right?
Right.
But Jalen Hurts, we can't sit here and all say Jalen Hurts can be 20s again this season because of the drop of what's going to happen with Saquon,
100%.
sharing the load and everything like that. He's going to have to be above top 15 to have the same production that we have, to be able to get to where we need to. And I think he already knows that, and the reason why he's doing what he's doing in this offseason.
I can agree with that.
Now, defense, well, we're talking offensively. So offensively, I think we still need to make strides in doing better in the pass game to get us to where we need to be in the promised land to go back-to-back again. If we accomplish that, which I think we will, no, I don't think we will. I know that we will because of the work that is being put in. You'll see us in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, and I think that I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Jalen Hurts has to be better throwing the football if we're going to be successful next season, because everybody is going to take the Chiefs formula. They're going to say, hey, we're going to load the box, specifically that Buccaneers team. They, for whatever reason, play us very well. They are going to load the box against us and force us to throw the football. They did it this year, and we couldn't do it. Now, we were missing Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but you got to play with who you got, and we weren't able to do it that day. I mean, it was also hell hot. I was there. But I think that Chosen's 100% right. You're going to have to be better at throwing the football, but I still don't think that the Eagles have to be anywhere near top 5 as an offense to get it done. And I think that as long as we are operating within what we're asked to do. Now, if our offense is calling for us to be better in the air and on the ground, then so be it. We'll be a top 5. Because I'm not saying we don't have the ability to be a top 5. I'm saying I don't think we need to be.
Yeah, I could get behind that in some sense. I think I just, for me, the pass game is going to have to improve 1,000%. Because of everybody's going to be taking that same script out, and and you know what, the Steelers kind of did when you said 290. I mean, it's just that when you're putting that much. Okay, let's rewind this so I can get to my point. When you look at the first 4 games of the season, right? When he had to throw the football a lot more, he got into a lot of trouble, right? So he then fine-tuned that and said, we're going to dissect defenses and do exactly what's needed to be done. We run it, we pass it, we pass it. Okay,
Right.
we get that. But at the same point, if we're asking you to throw it a lot more than what you normally do, and what I'm looking for is what we've seen in the playoffs, is him to read a little bit more.
Right.
Call audible
he's got to be better past his first read.
Yeah, he has to be better, and after his first read, he has to be better in his production of calling audibles, and he did that in the Rams game, with in sync with Saquon Barkley. So we've seen that those things happen. Let it carry over. Let it carry over to this next season. Let's see what Kevin does. Let's put that into motion and let you play your just natural game. But we're going to have to see a production that he's never. And DP, we all said it right. You're going to see a different Jalen Hurts this season that you've never seen before.
100%.
And so I think that's what we're leaning to, right? With your honorable mention,
Listen, that's I think that we were so top heavy last season, and because we again, that's just what our offense called for us to do, and Jalen performed it at an elite level. That's why how we as a panel evaluate quarterbacks is a little different than how other people do, because other people look at the box score, right? They want to look at how many yards they throw for, how many touchdowns they have, all these things. And you're not looking at, okay, how did Jalen play within the confines of what the offense was asking him to do? Because Josh's offense asks him to be, Clark Kent every weekend. Lamar's offense asks, you know what? I don't think Lamar's offense asks him, because you have Derrick Henry. If the coach, that's a Harbaugh issue, in my opinion. Use Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, since I'm on your show. I'm in your show, so I can say a lot more. But the reason why people really evaluate quarterbacks and want to see them do that is because that's all they have to talk about.
Right.
It's the things that they see. They don't dig deep like you dig deep. They don't dig deep like DP does. They don't do the homework like we do our homework. So that's all they have to go by. So a lot of their disputes, a lot of their arguments is going to be based on that, is because that's all they see. But they don't really dig deep and understand, okay, how are they performing? What is it taking them to? How if they're going to win an MVP, or is it going to take them lead them to a Super Bowl? They're not digging in that. They're not digging that deep. It's so surface level when you go to other platforms that's their argument, right? But right here in the YouTube, where you get your information from, and you're getting it from us right here, right now,
specifically the Sports Lounge.
Yeah, you're gonna dig deeper, right? And you're gonna get a lot of the stuff from Sunshine. You're gonna get a lot of stuff from DP, and me. You're just gonna get me, but you're gonna get the stuff that is more tangible and more substance to bring your points to be 100%. A lot more effective than most conversations that you're going to have. So you're going to get it here first on the Sports with Sunshine, and also the Sports Lounge Media, and down
100%. 100%. And I want to say thank you to each and everybody that came out tonight to watch the show. I know we ran over a little bit, but man, I knew we were gonna get
right
on
this time.
So this one was a lot of fun, guys. Obviously, Sports with Sunshine is my show. You got my man DP, who runs down South Philly, and then you got my man Chosen, that appears on all shows, including the Sports Lounge Media, where they cover the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, and the NHL, as well as college sports. Guys, the Sports Lounge Media is the best media outlet on the spaces. All you have to do is go to www.sportsloungemedia.com. You can find shows like Sports with Sunshine, Down South Philly, the Marshall Experience, if you have any kind of fantasy football questions. You got my man Ken's Pats Talk over there talking about the Patriots and God knows what else. He's got that Dallas Cowboys guy on there all the time that scares the hell out of me. But at the end of the day, I think that, this is a very special place. Like Mike said, you're going to get down to earth, very detailed sports analysis. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors, the Mogul brand, as well as the Diamond Collection, for sponsoring the Sports Lounge Media. And thank you to the Sports Lounge for making Sports with Sunshine a possibility. Guys, I'm going to come to you every single Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. We're going to talk the Birds. We're going to talk the NFL. Next season, we are going to get into the NHL. So buckle up for that. It's going to be an evolution. You're also going to start seeing me on the Sports Lounge on Wednesdays, 8 p.m., correct?
Yep.
You're going to start seeing me on there a lot more often as well as the NFL season comes around.
9 p.m. 9 p.m.
9
your
p.m.
time. Yeah.
9 p.m. Eastern, you're going to start seeing me on the Sports Lounge as we convert into the NFL season. And guys, my man down south up there is going to be running our very own Red Zone. It's called Fourth and One, and I'm very excited. Fourth and One is going to be your one-stop shop. First and goal, my fault. First and goal is going to be your one-stop shop for all the exciting touchdowns in the NFL. And you get to hang out with DP, me. You get to hang out with DP's co-host. There's going to be a lot of different Sports Lounge media members on that show. Guys, what are you doing? You go to the Sports Lounge, you hit the big red button that says subscribe. It's real easy. It's real simple. Then you have access to all the sports that you need. Thank you guys for coming out tonight, man. You guys make this fun. It's the viewers that make this fun. It's the viewers that make the Sports Lounge Media the best media outlet on the internet. DP, Chosen, I want to say thank you for giving me your full undivided attention. And, man, these top 5 conversations are a lot of fun.
It was an honor. It was an honor for you to pick me to be on your show.
Special selection. No, guys, thank you so much. Have an incredible rest of your night. And as always, go Birds.
Go Birds.